Hi everyone, welcome to Insights with Lily Zhang. Today is 21st of April. I had a haircut. Well, I hope you like it. A new color, yeah. Normally this kind of thing doesn't even worth mention, but this time I mention it because this is the first time I have had my haircut and colored in a hair salon in 8 months. Back to Australia. Yeah, so life is beautiful here. Life is normal. Everything is open, and that's why this kind of like a haircut, this kind of normal thing, and in this extraordinary time looks extraordinary. So I'm quite pleased to have a haircut. Yeah, you can see from here. Yeah, this is an extraordinary time. Like I said, any normal things looks extraordinary. Like from 19, which is this Monday, New Zealand and Australia, it started free travel bubble. That means without isolation and quarantine. These two countries, the border is open. People can visit, travel to each other, and without quarantine. You can't believe it, because for 16 to 18 months, this country, they used to be like their brothers and neighbors. You know, you don't go to each other, you don't need any visa or something like that. But for 18 months, these two countries being isolated to each other. The borders are closed. And up until Monday, the borders open. So because they call each other green zone. Well, if you don't know, Australia and New Zealand not open for international travelers. Anybody travel, well, you need a special, basically you need to be citizen or residents to come back to New Zealand or Australia like me. Otherwise, you basically just can't come. But within these two countries, the borders open. You can see, I'll show you some pictures. People just feel so normal and so extraordinarily happy about this. Auckland Airport, you can see the sign with a koala and a kiwi. They hug each other. Sydney Airport, oh, like a festival. People get so excited. It's very moving, emotional moment for families reunited. Wow, it's very moving. You can see the tears, how people react, just back to normal. Yes, down under, life is good, life is beautiful, everything's open, everything's pretty much normal, except international tourism. Yes, I can see the economy is recovering, except some special sectors like tourism, foreign education, or education for foreigners, foreign students, and tourism is not open. But there's some bright spot of the economy, like where I am, the property market. Both countries, especially New Zealand, of course Australia as well, the property market's been booming since the pandemic, because everybody stay at home, working from home. That's why people just invest more in property. Also, people feel moving more into bigger houses and houses with some garden. If you don't know, in Australia and New Zealand, everybody's house preferably got gardens, and the living standard is much higher than Europe or most of the rest of the world. This time I really feel that. Yeah, but there are some sectors suffer a little bit, like city apartments. in both countries, because in New Zealand and Australia, most people living in city, foreign students and office workers, just not many people really, local people living in CBD, we call central business district. So most of families, they live in out suburbs, so they have bigger houses and garden, something like that. So for both countries, the apartment, unless the apartment's in very good location and very good quality, the apartment market suffered a little bit. But in the whole, the property market on this side is having a great booming time. Actually, it's not just the pandemic seems affect hugely on some industry like tourism, international travel, and hospitality industry like restaurants, hotels, and bars. But I think that's a global trend, especially for good countries like most of developed countries. The property market's been going very well. That means people basically back to basic. They need good home and good environment. Looks like this pandemic is not going to finish this year, next year, or 2 years. According to the Australian Prime Minister, he said he expect Australia fully open to international tourists will be in 2024. 2024, oh my God. It's another 3 years. It's shocking. It's even shocking for me because I have a return ticket back to Germany in July. And now looks very well. I don't want another. When I come back, I have to have quarantine for another 14 days, which is torture. And the next 2 to 3 years, looks like the pandemic is not going to be ended, even with the vaccination. And recent reports showing the vaccination, it doesn't stop people getting infected again. So they probably stop people getting very seriously sick or die of the virus, but doesn't stop the infection. So we might have to get more vaccine next year. Basically we have to live with this virus. Nobody knows. But one thing for sure, this pandemic is not going to finish in 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years. Well, life goes on. At least, basically this side or anywhere in the world. I don't know how my European friends or German friends cope, because it looks like they're having another lockdown and they're going to lock down for quite a long time. But, at least that's why I would like to show my fans more about our life in Melbourne and Australia. This time I really feel Australia is a lucky country and such a great place to live. And it's just naturally a multicultural and open society. And I think I'll show you more about our lifestyle in Australia. And there's some short videos for you. This is Lygon Street in Melbourne. It's very concentrated with European migrants, especially Italians. So this area is called Little Italy. There's hundreds of thousands of Italian cafes, restaurants, and so many Italian immigrants here. Typical Aussie. And this is a Norma cinema. They basically just focus on showing European movies. This is my favorite cafe, Bruniti, the most famous Italian cafe in Melbourne. Look at the varieties of sweets. It's a favorite for families and friends catch up together. Wow, look at that. It's what I like about it is so much history because Maigong Street was established by Italian immigrants in 1950s because they were cheap laborers imported by Australian government in 1950s. And but those Italians, look at those old pictures. I love it, just showing the history. And they had those Italian immigrants. They brought espresso cafes to Australia, and of course, Italian culture, Italian cuisine. See how friendly Aussies are. Wow. Gelatis. So many varieties. Wow. Well, tasty. I had a good time. Aussie. Yeah, we do have a great life here down under, and I think I'm going to visit New Zealand very soon. So I'll show you more about beautiful New Zealand, the 100% pure New Zealand as well. Okay, yeah, that's the program for today, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.